Overthinking is dangerous because the problem is not always the situation. Sometimes the problem is the amount of time you give your mind to sit with it. There was a phase in my life when I overthought literally everything. Small conversations, future situations, people's opinions, mistakes from the past, even things that never actually happened. And honestly, it was exhausting. But one thing completely changed my life. I became too busy building something meaningful to keep entertaining negative thoughts. And in this video, I want to share how that happened and why staying purposefully busy might be the most underrated cure for overthinking. Overthinking feels harmless in the beginning. You think you're just trying to understand things better. But slowly, it becomes mental noise. You replay moments again and again. You create imaginary scenarios. You stress about the future. You doubt yourself constantly. And the worst part, most of the things we overthink never even happen. I realize that overthinking steals two things from us. First, our peace. Second, our time. And time is something we never get back. I remember wasting entire days being mentally exhausted over things that were honestly not even important anymore. And one day I asked myself, what if I invested all this mental energy into building my life instead? That question changed everything. For me, the turning point was content writing and content creation. At first it was just curiosity. I started writing posts, learning new things, creating content online, experimenting with ideas. But slowly, something interesting happened. My mind became occupied with growth instead of fear. Instead of overthinking problems, I started thinking about new ideas, better writing, improving my skills, creating videos, learning storytelling. Being consistent, I became so deeply involved in creating something meaningful that I hardly had time left to overthink. And that's when I understood something powerful. An empty mind overthinks. An engaged mind creates. The issue was never that my mind thought too much. The issue was that my mind had no meaningful direction. Now let me clarify something. I'm not talking about fake busyness, not scrolling endlessly, not distracting yourself 24/7. I'm talking about purposeful engagement. There's a huge difference. When you work on something that genuinely excites you, your brain shifts focus. You stop living inside imaginary problems and start living inside real progress. That's why people who are deeply passionate about something often seem mentally stronger. Athletes train, artists create, writers write, entrepreneurs build, creators experiment. Their minds are occupied with purpose, and purpose leaves less room for unnecessary overthinking. I'm not saying passion magically removes all problems, but it definitely changes where your mental energy goes. And that alone can transform your life. A lot of people say, okay, but I don't know my passion. Honestly, most people don't. And that's normal. Passion is rarely found by sitting and thinking about it. It's discovered through action. Try things, explore skills, experiment with hobbies, learn something new. Your passion might be writing, video editing, fitness coding, photography, designing, music, public speaking, business, teaching. You won't know until you start. The biggest mistake overthinkers make is waiting for clarity before taking action. But clarity often comes after action, not before it. So instead of spending months overthinking your future, spend those months building skills. Because even if one thing doesn't work out, you still grow. And growth always builds confidence. Looking back now, I honestly regret how much time I wasted worrying about things that never truly mattered. So many thoughts, so much anxiety, so much energy, all wasted on temporary situations. Today, my life is much busier, but strangely, my mind feels lighter. Because now I spend more time creating than worrying, more time learning than doubting, more time building than imagining failure. And that changed everything for me. So if you are someone who constantly overthinks, here's what I want you to remember. You do not overcome overthinking by merely trying to stop thinking. You overcome it by giving your mind something more meaningful to focus on. Find something worth building. Find something worth learning. Find something worth waking up for. Because the more purpose you add to your life, the less space overthinking gets to survive in. If this video connected with you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear this today. And remember, a busy mind doesn't just stay occupied. Sometimes it slowly heals.